Arizona just introduced a new bill, HB 2486, aimed at protecting distressed residential property owners. And if passed into law, this may be one of the most aggressive real estate investor regulations proposed anywhere in the country. And I want to be very clear right out of the gate. This is not just an anti-wholesaling bill. This bill is aimed at all investors who buy distressed properties, including flippers and buy and hold investors. It even includes strict restrictions on creative financing. What makes this bill unlike anything we've seen before is that rather than regulating investor conduct or marketing practices, it regulates acquisition pricing by imposing a minimum purchase threshold, effectively limiting the profitability of distressed property transactions. Look, when you control the buy price, you control whether profit is even possible. And even with full informed seller consent, the deal would still be illegal under this bill. So in this video, I'm going to outline what this bill is proposing, why it is detrimental to everyone, and most importantly, what you and I can do right now to stop it from becoming law. Coming up. First, the bill defines what it calls an equity purchaser. Now, an equity purchaser is any person or entity that 1, acquires any interest in a dwelling, 2, does not intend to live in the property as a primary residence for at least 12 months, 3, intends to make a profit by either selling or renting the property. Translation, if you are a real estate investor, you are an equity purchaser. Since investors don't plan on living in the property and do plan on making a profit, every investor would be considered an equity purchaser, including wholesalers, flippers, and buy and hold investors. And it doesn't matter if you assign, double close, or take title and close with cash. If you intend to profit and not live there, this bill applies to you. Next, the bill narrows its scope to what it calls a distressed property. A property is considered distressed if any of the following is true. 1, the seller is delinquent on their mortgage or property taxes. 2, the seller has received a foreclosure notice within the last 180 days. Or get this, 3, the seller believes they may default in the near future. Now hold on a second. How does a seller know if they're going to default in the future? That's a subjective standard that's impossible to objectively verify and creates enormous legal ambiguity. Nonetheless, as written, if any of these conditions apply, the property is legally classified as distressed. Now here's where things get insane. If a property meets the definition of distressed, you, the equity purchaser, cannot buy it for less than 82% of the as-is fair market value, or the contract is void, not voidable, void. It doesn't matter if both the seller and the buyer consent. The transaction is prohibited. In fact, you won't even be able to close because title and escrow are required to verify that a credible independent valuation was obtained, showing the property meets the 82% threshold, dated on or near the contract execution. If it doesn't, escrow is legally prohibited from closing the transaction. That means the government is dictating what price an investor is legally allowed to pay, regardless of what the property owner is willing to accept. Not two consenting private citizens decide, but the government decides instead. Now think about this. In most parts of Arizona, especially in rural or slower markets, paying cash at 82% of fair market value for a distressed property is nowhere near enough of a discount for a flipper or a buy and hold investor, and certainly not a wholesaler. So if investors can't buy these properties, what happens to homeowners in pre-foreclosure? I'll tell you what happens. Foreclosures increase, not decrease. You hurt the seller, you don't help them. Honestly, it's difficult to see how anyone could reasonably argue that this actually benefits distressed homeowners. Maybe you're thinking, okay, cash doesn't work. Maybe I can meet the 83% of fair market value requirement if I purchase using creative financing. Not so fast. The bill requires all liens, mortgages, judgments, and any encumbrances to be paid in full at closing. Escrow cannot close otherwise. That means you cannot buy a property subject to and take over the existing debt. Buy subject to. Well, what if the seller owns the property free and clear? HB 2486 prohibits the seller from extending credit to the buyer, eliminating seller financing, seller carrybacks, wraps, and installment sales of any kind. Buy seller financing. Well, what about leasing the property back to the seller after closing? Nope. Seller occupancy is limited to 20 days post-closing. No rent backs, no lease backs. This is one of the clearest anti-creative finance regulations we've ever seen anywhere. And while they're at it, because why not? You cannot record contracts or memorandums. Any attempt to record equitable interest would be void and unenforceable. Now, to ensure the equity purchaser doesn't interfere with the transaction, the bill turns title and escrow into watchdogs. You, the equity purchaser, cannot restrict escrow from communicating directly with the seller. You cannot act as the go-between. Escrow must independently verify compliance. Failure to do so exposes escrow and title to liability, which all but guarantees over-enforcement. Traditionally, title and escrow act as neutral transaction facilitators. HB 2486 changes that role entirely. Under this bill, escrow must prove the purchase price meets 82% of the fair market value through an independent appraisal and must refuse to close if any of the requirements are not met. Do you realize how massive this intervention is? Even if the seller wants the deal, even if the buyer accepts the risk, even if everyone signs willingly, escrow must refuse to close if fair market value isn't properly documented, price falls below 82%, liens are paid in full, seller extends credit, or the seller occupancy exceeds 20 days. For the first time, Arizona law would override both buyer and seller consent. Now let's talk specifically about wholesaling. All of the same rules apply, which means wholesaling would essentially be dead. You can't make money contracting at 82% of fair market value. And even if you could, as it's written, the bill limits non-licensed wholesalers to one transaction per 12-month period. 2 or more wholesale deals in a year would require an active real estate license. Now, if this bill passes as written, Arizona would become one of the most restrictive states in the country for distressed real estate investing. This bill was introduced and sponsored by Democrat Representative Oscar de los Santos on January 21st, 2026. And while Arizona currently has a 33-27 Republican majority, we cannot assume this bill won't move forward. Right now, the bill has been assigned to the House Commerce Committee and the Rules Committee. The committee chair decides if and when a bill even gets a hearing. This is where bills are quietly killed and where opposition matters most. A single committee no vote is worth 10 floor votes later. So we all need to get involved right now to oppose this bill. Here's what I've done. I put together a simple PDF with instructions on how to formally oppose this bill, including cut and paste email templates, and I'm giving this away with my free wholesaler regulations guide where I cover all 50 states on regulation. Even if you're not an Arizona resident, you can still have your voice heard. Go to wholesalerregulations.com to download that now and get the instructions. Listen, HB 2486 doesn't protect distressed homeowners. It removes their options. It doesn't prevent foreclosures. It increases them. And it doesn't target bad actors. It criminalizes standard consensual real estate transactions. When the government decides who can buy, how much they can pay, what financing is allowed, how long a seller can stay, and whether a deal can even close, that's no longer consumer protection. That's excessive government control. Now, as of this recording, this bill is very early on. It has just gone to committee. It can still be stopped quietly in committee if enough people speak up now. If you care about your property rights, free markets, or simply giving distressed homeowners more options instead of fewer, now is the time to act. So if you're watching this video, go right now to wholesalerregulations.com, download my PDF, follow the instruction guide there, reach out to the sponsor, reach out to the committee, and use the cut and paste templates I provided and oppose this bill. Thank you, and I'll see you on the next video.